I want to tell you 5 of the best things about traveling in New Mexico, particularly perhaps Albuquerque, New Mexico, which is the biggest city, I think. I'm hesitant because now I need to look up about Las Cruces, but I'm pretty sure Albuquerque is, yeah, in fact, I am sure. Albuquerque is the biggest city in New Mexico, pushing just under 1 million people in the whole metro area, including all the suburbs. And hi, I'm Angel, by the way. Thanks for stopping by. I forgot to introduce myself and say thanks for visiting my channel. And without further ado, let's jump into 5 of the best things about traveling in New Mexico / Albuquerque, New Mexico. Number 1 thing is no traffic jams. Oh my goodness. I just got through an hour and a half of traffic to get like less than 20 miles in Denver. That stuff makes me crazy. Little bit crazy. And that's because I'm spoiled, because in Albuquerque, rarely do we get a traffic jam. I guess during those rush hours, there's a little backup, but like 10 to 20 minutes is the most I think I've ever been backed up, and that's if there's an accident or something. There's not but a few miles of heavy traffic, and it does not take an hour or hours. I know on the coast it's even worse. I've been in 5 hours of traffic in Seattle before, and probably lost a couple years of my life to the stress. Anyway, number 1 thing I love about New Mexico is no traffic jams to speak of, and if there are, they're few and far between, and they're short and not nearly as dire as many other big cities. Number 2 favorite thing about traveling in Albuquerque, New Mexico is there's restrooms in the gas stations. I just had to go to 3 gas stations in the midst of that hour and a half of traffic, well, 2 at the beginning and 1 at the end, to be able to go pee. And I mean, you might run into that every great now and then, no restrooms for non-paying customers, but you don't, like, gas stations have restrooms. That's part of the deal, especially if you're buying something, which I would never stop, and maybe not never, but I usually buy something pretty much almost always, and usually a whole tank of gas. Like, the things go together. You stop, you fill up, you check your oil, you go to the restroom, you get a drink. It's part of the package. I don't understand this whole no restroom thing. So that's number 2 best favorite thing about traveling in Albuquerque, New Mexico is, or in New Mexico in general, there's restrooms available when you stop to get gas. Number 3 best favorite thing about traveling in Albuquerque, New Mexico is, or in New Mexico in general, there's a very few dumb little roundabouts. There's one near my house that somebody got put in like in a neighborhood by my house. It makes me kind of laugh and curse every time I go through it, because it's pretty much one of the dumbest things ever. And recently, Albuquerque's been getting revamped down their Central Avenue because I'm guessing someone from out of town came in and engineered the whole traffic situation, and it doesn't make much sense to us locals who've been there, who are used to being able to take a left when there's no traffic. Now you're supposed to wait. It's a whole mess, but that's new, and I'm still giving it some time to see. And that's one road in the whole state that's like that. And it's only like that for maybe 5 miles, whereas I know a lot of other cities got roundabouts and all kinds of quirky, poorly engineered, crazy engineering in the cities. New Mexico's pretty much just gridded out, especially Albuquerque. Santa Fe's a little different. It's an older town, city, our capital, so it's got a spoke wheel kind of framework, which was the old way of doing things before we gridded out the highways. So there's a little of that, but to and fro and between and even through cities like Santa Fe, there's a main grid that you can get on, and it's just straight lines for the most part. Gets you where you want to go, and you're not stuck in traffic going around in crazy circles unless you just don't know where you're going, like sometimes I don't. Anyway, that's number 3 favorite thing, best thing about traveling in New Mexico. Number 4 favorite best thing about traveling in New Mexico is people drive all kinds of different speeds. Plenty of people drive fast, which is how I like to drive. I learned to drive in New Mexico, so I'm a classic New Mexican driver. We get criticized sometimes for being a little bit crazy, and I love that about us, because like here in Colorado, where I'm currently driving, people drive slow. Everybody drives slow. I know, like, Washington State's even worse. Everybody just drives slow, 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 slow. And it makes me a little crazy. Can you tell? Maybe I'm just a little crazy. But that's number 4. My favorite thing about driving in New Mexico. There's plenty of people who drive super slow, too, and that's okay. That's the thing. People are pretty laid back, and you can drive fast or slow, however you want. Because there's enough room, and there's not a big old traffic jam, and the roads are pretty straight. Number 5, my favorite, best thing about traveling in New Mexico is what I just mentioned. People are laid back a little bit, including the police. So you can have a cracked windshield, you can have a headlight out for like 2 years, like I did, which I've got criticized for, but whatever. That's a different story. You can tell me off if you want to, and I'll ignore you, because I know who I am. I know how it was, and actually it wasn't completely, it's a long story, but anyways, I feel all right about it. And I love driving in a state where the law and the people aren't super nitpicky about every little thing, and you don't have to worry about somebody turning you in ever. That's kind of a no-narc rule in New Mexico, and that's partly because the cops are a little corrupt in a lot of cases. Not all of them, but in a lot of cases they are, because they don't get paid that much, so it kind of leads to more temptation for corruption, I think. Plus, it's kind of a good old boy, like cousins and relatives of people it's who you know and how you get in, which is probably true everywhere, but it's particularly true in New Mexico, I think, in my experience. That's my 5 favorite best things about traveling in New Mexico. Let me summarize again. Number 1 is no or very few traffic jams. Number 2 is restrooms that you can use at the gas stations. Number 3 is no or very few stupid little roundabouts and no left on red and all kinds of silly rules that come with over engineering and too many people or lots of people in traffic and people trying to make the best they can out of a messy situation. Number 4 is that you can drive as fast or slow as you want to. And number 5 is that people are laid back and the law is generally not concerned with things that aren't harming anybody, like cracked windows, headlights out, smoking weed, any of that. I'm pretty laid back about all of it. I'd love to know, what's your favorite best thing about traveling in your state? I'm sure there's good things. There's good and bad everywhere. I'm trying to focus on the good. I'm going to do a video in the near future about my favorite things about traveling in Colorado, where I am now, even though traffic just kind of irritated me. There are things I like about it. Those are my 5 favorite best things about traveling in New Mexico. As always, you can find other ways to connect to me and ways to support me, like buying my books, buying my music, shopping in my eBay store in the description below. And until next time, I wish you peace, prosperity, positivity, love, lightheartedness, laughter, and playfulness.